I believe that every movie adheres to the 29-point story structure. No matter if the writer outlines first or dives in blind, the end product follows the same 29 beats. Star Wars: A Phantom Menace is my Exhibit L. Why is my first franchise breakdown Star Wars? For the likes and views. But why else? Because Episode 4 was a general retelling of the hero's journey, and it set the standard for this ever-growing franchise. Star Wars is a writing exercise. Let's move on past the prequel's infamy among Gen X and adoration among Gen Z, and jump straight to where this movie shines. Coherent plot structure. And no, that isn't sarcasm. Let's begin. A tight focus on the core elements of the protagonist's personality, inner conflict, and situation. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan discuss why they're here, and highlight their relationship to one another. Then they demonstrate the efficacy of their cerebral powers, along with their resources and physical prowess. Where, why, and how the protagonist exists in their world with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan evade the invading troops, whose side quest is to hunt down these two Jedi. They plead for assistance in heading off the invasion, but the Gungans don't like outsiders. A singular event that's never happened before, and is destined to lead the protagonist away from their status quo. We witness a Jedi hijacking someone's free will, but just enough to get a little further down the road, so to speak. An examination of what's different in light of the something new, what's the same in spite of it in relation to the status quo. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan speed along faster than ever to intercept the invading force, yet they're still navigating forces much larger than themselves in a hostile environment. The discovery that things are less than ideal, or an exploration of how badly things are. The invasion goes off without a hitch, and the Queen is captured. Then the Queen is set free, but the wide scope of the treachery is revealed. Everything has been a lie, and Qui-Gon suspects the treachery might grow even darker. Characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, which is smaller in scope than the primary objective of the third act. The Jedis need to get Queen Amidala out of the Federation hands, to get her to the Senate and address this invasion personally. But they have to repair and resupply first, and Tatooine is close. A brief checklist of the story elements needed for the second act. Darth Vader's Force aura, hidden identities, poking around spaceports and other hives of villainy, and the Skywalker bloodline. The singular event that launches the protagonist into the wild jungle of the second act, also called an oh shit moment. Qui-Gon can't magic his way down the road this time. Oh shit. Characters must learn all new rules and expectations distinct to this adventure. Qui-Gon's babysitting service is broke, and he needs to get creative if he's going to get the Queen safely to the Senate. Jar Jar's shenanigans brings Anakin to his rescue, and the boy becomes their guide. Characters showcase their ability to grow in the areas this adventure requires, typically through external means. They're given shelter from a raging sandstorm, and the legendary friendship of R2-D2 and C-3PO begins. Qui-Gon is introduced to pod race gambling and Anakin's affinity for the sport. Characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. Qui-Gon bets the only object of value he has, the ship he needs to fix. If he loses, the treachery that led to the invasion will keep going, unchecked. We find out Anakin's pod racer has never actually run before, and the ever-growing team wonders if everyone is strictly necessary. An escalation of problems that vex the protagonist. Qui-Gon is spooked to find out the young Anakin is overpowered AF, an unexpected wrinkle. Then Darth Maul lands on Tatooine. Dabbling in the slave trade, Qui-Gon negotiates a bet to free Anakin, but not his mother. And they find out that shit-talking Anakin hasn't even finished a race yet. Characters evolve internally by utilizing everything they've gathered and learned. With a few words of wisdom, Qui-Gon technically begins the training of Darth Vader, then proceeds to needle the Queen's handmaiden. Dude's having way too much fun picking on her. Anakin fixes his pod racer on the fly. Journey-weary characters reconcile the reality of their ongoing situation with who they were in the first act. The Queen's ship, the planet Naboo, the treachery that greenlighted the invasion, the future of the Senate, everything rides on this backwoods circuit race. Anakin won because he was the last one in the race, right? Like every single racer wrecked, many fatally so. A singular event that strikes at the protagonist's core conflict. Finally, with some actual leverage over their situation, Qui-Gon forces Watto to uphold his end of their bargain, and they're finally on their way. Characters find a safe harbor that also provides needed answers for both external and internal conflicts. Qui-Gon delivers everything they need to set off for the Senate, then returns alone to bring Anakin into the Jedi fold. The clarified objective is realized in part or in whole, though it's meaningless without the completion of the primary objective. Anakin leaves to become a Jedi, but he leaves his mother still in slavery. The squad gets to the Queen's ship safely, but they fear a Jedi-trained adversary is hot on their tail. In existential conflict that wounds the protagonist's sense of self, worldly identity, or their journey. The Queen's handmaiden agonizes over the distress call from home. The Queen is delivered into the hands of the Phantom Menace himself, the source of the treachery. Yet she stands firm against his gravelly manipulation. An undeniable win for the protagonist, typically in direct connection to the rebirth. Qui-Gon convinces the Jedi Council to receive Anakin, to test if he's their chosen one. The Queen, one of them I kind of lost track, finally stands before the Senate. A grand loss directly connected to the character's newfound inability to quit the journey. Seemingly backed into a corner, Amidala calls for new leadership in the Senate, unwittingly strengthening the treachery that invaded her planet. Yoda calls out Anakin's great fear and predicts the darkness within. Palpatine is tapped to lead the Senate. A thematic freefall, tied directly to the heavy price. Fed up with helplessness, Amidala jets off back to Naboo. The Jedi Council refuses Anakin his training, refuses Obi-Wan his own test, and sends Qui-Gon back to Naboo as a detective. A singular event that robs the protagonist of seemingly any chance of success. While the political arena is held inactive, Darth Maul is dispatched to Naboo to end the resistance. Characters cannot return to their starting personas, and must turn to face the primary objective. Amidala outs herself as the real queen, and brokers a quick friendship with the other race on her planet thanks to her exposure to Jar Jar Binks. The planet Naboo finally addresses the invasion and oppression of its people, by choosing violence. And the principal cast blasts their way into the thick of it, but Darth Maul stands in the way. Characters move towards the climax while utilizing the major swings and sneaky misdirections of the story. Amidala and her guards enter the palace by force, charging the throne room. Anakin taps his pod racing skills to prove himself useful, and Qui-Gon is separated from Obi-Wan yet again. The final confrontation between the protagonist and the antagonistic force. Obi-Wan watches Darth Maul strike down Qui-Gon. Amidala plays the reverse decoy trick and captures the leader of the invasion, and Anakin accidentally wipes out the entire droid army. The singular event where the protagonist finally confronts their place in the status quo. Obi-Wan slays the only known Sith Knight with Qui-Gon's lightsaber. Symbolically, the mission to train the Chosen One, who will bring balance to the Force, is now in Obi-Wan's hand. The direct aftermath of the climax. Qui-Gon flat out states the symbolism, in case anyone missed it. The consequences of the climax in relation to other characters in the status quo. Queen Amidala reclaims her planet, yet gave up so much more in helping Palpatine become Chancellor. A tight focus on the protagonist contrasted from the opening. Obi-Wan is knighted, and Anakin's education is reluctantly placed in his hands, and the identity of the Phantom Menace remains elusive. And there you have it, my 12th example to support my argument that all movies follow the exact same story structure, regardless of how the writer approaches their craft. The Phantom Menace lingered in several sequences, as sci-fi films tend to do for world-building purposes. Still, it capitalized on the 29-point story structure. But does this CGI-laden political drama follow the same plot beats as a female-led John Wick-like ass-kicking marathon that likely primes a Highlander series reboot? Yes, it arguably does. Next on the docket, The Old Guard. Please subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, and please like and comment with your thoughts and reactions. I'll talk at you next time.